covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now, coverage you can count on.
An Iranian missile strikes an Israeli hospital as the conflict between the countries approaches a week. I'm Natalie Brand at the White House, where the president is weighing possible U.S. involvement.
A Chico school board member wants more answers about a fire that caused major damage to classrooms at Pleasant Valley High School. But first, a local apiary business goes up in flames in Tehama County. Breaking news, firefighters battled a damaging structure fire at a Red Bluff beekeeping business on Baker Road. According to CAL FIRE, the flames were first reported around 9 this morning at the Bennett Apiaries and Hive equipment business. The 3,000 square foot building was 50% involved in flames when the first crews arrived. More than 30 firefighters are still there to make sure those flames are completely out. They are expected to remain on scene through the afternoon and into the evening. CAL FIRE says no one was injured. The cause is under investigation. Also new at noon, a morning fire destroyed a home in Anderson. It was reported at 4:15 this morning on Laurie Court off Sharon Avenue. Police say the home was fully engulfed in flames when crews arrived and that everyone inside made it out safely. Officers helped one of them get their dog from the burning home's backyard. Now, several nearby homes were evacuated, but crews were able to keep the flames from spreading. We're working to learn the cause of that fire. Now, because of windy, dry conditions, PG&E may start public safety power shutoffs in some areas today to prevent wildfires. People in 15 counties may be impacted by the shutoffs over the next 3 days. Parts of Shasta, Tehama, and Trinity counties may be affected today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Parts of Glenn and Colusa counties could be affected tomorrow and Saturday. Now, here is a live look over Butte County. This is from the Jarbo Gap Alert California camera. You can see mostly sunny skies, another warm day out there. For the very latest, we check in with Sade Pullen.
Yes, so today is already looking pretty warm. When I was in the car, I couldn't even really use the AC. I had to just put the windows all the way down. So we are going to start to warm up today. Currently in the valley, we are in the low to mid 80s. We will reach the low to mid 90s later this afternoon as we start to get more. Around 3 p.m. we'll start to reach our peak. For our foothills, we're looking at conditions in the lower 80s range currently. And then for our mountains, we're looking at conditions in the 70s to 60s range, 80s range. This is a look at our wind speeds. Currently, we have some southeast winds. The highest that the wind gusts currently are for our valley region is 14 miles per hour. For our foothills, they're at 9 miles per hour. And then for our mountains, they're at 10 miles per hour. And I'll break that down more as we get throughout this newscast. Back to you, Linda.
All right. Thank you, Sade. Corning police made an arrest for drugs after investigating 2 people passed out in a car in a parking lot on Solano Street. Police say an officer saw narcotics paraphernalia in plain view, and a search turned up more than 5 ounces of fentanyl and more than 2 ounces of methamphetamine. 47-year-old Lisa Britton of Bonnie Lake, Washington, was taken into custody on felony charges. The CHP made arrests for drugs and weapons after a traffic stop on I-5 in Tehama County. Officers say K-9 Unit Riva alerted to the presence of drugs, and they found about 7 pounds of meth, 2 ounces of cocaine, and a loaded semi-automatic handgun, along with $6,600 cash. Police say a search warrant turned up hundreds of marijuana plants and other drugs in Redding. Police say it was an illegal indoor grow on Woodview Drive, that's in South Redding. Confiscated more than 600 pot plants, 66 pounds of processed marijuana, and 2 ounces of cocaine. Police say they have identified suspects, but did not yet report any arrests. A Chico school board member is calling for the city manager to look into the Chico Fire Department's response to 2 fires that damaged Pleasant Valley High School. We were on scene for the fires at the Art Building, or Building D, on April 25th. The first one at 4:20 p.m., the second reported in the same building at 7:45 p.m. It gutted much of that building. At last night's meeting, board member Eileen Robinson said she wants a more detailed explanation from the fire department and city manager about why the firefighters left after the first fire.
My continuing concern is with the decision by the Chico Fire Department to leave the scene before the fire had been completely suppressed. It was immediately apparent the second conflagration was going to be worse than the first. By the time the fire department returned, the fire was raging again. Raging kind of is an understatement. It was, yeah.
Fire Chief Steve Standridge has told Action News Now that there was evidence that they were actually two separate fires, not a reignition of the first fire. Robinson wants the city manager to give an update on the fire response at a school board meeting in November. The school board also approved emergency actions to get temporary housing for the art classes at PV High until Building D is repaired. An Iranian missile attack overnight struck civilian targets in Israel. It is the latest escalation of tensions between the two countries that could ratchet up even more if President Trump decides to allow U.S. forces to help strike an Iranian nuclear facility. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
A missile from Iran struck the main hospital in southern Israel early Thursday, wounding people and causing major damage.
Several wards were completely demolished, and there is extensive damage across the entire hospital.
In response, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered Israel's military to intensify attacks on Iranian targets, and Israel's defense minister said Iran's supreme leader should not continue to exist. At the White House, President Trump returns to the Situation Room this morning as the U.S. weighs whether to join Israel offensively.
CBS News has learned President Trump approved attack plans on Iran, but has not made a final decision, according to a senior intelligence source and defense official.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people. And we will do what we have to do, and we are doing it.
Sources say the president has held off in case Iran agrees to give up its nuclear program.
I like to make the final decision 1 second before it's due, because things change. I mean, especially with war.
The State Department has alerted U.S. citizens in Iran to leave now. The U.S. ambassador to Israel also posted on social media that American citizens wanting to evacuate Israel can sign up on the State Department's website as the U.S. organizes charter flights and cruise ships for evacuation. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Less than an hour ago, the White House said President Donald Trump will decide within the next 2 weeks whether to strike Iran. The president has also extended the deadline for TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, to sell the short-form video app to an American owner by another 90 days. The president signed an executive order today granting a third extension for the Chinese company to sell its platform so that it can continue to operate in the U.S. A law banning TikTok initially passed under the Biden administration over national security concerns. Powerful Hurricane Eric made landfall in Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca early today. Its center about 20 miles east of Punta Maldonado. The storm downgraded slightly before making landfall from a powerful Category 4 to a Category 3. It threaded the needle between the resorts of Acapulco and Puerto Escondido, tearing into a sparsely populated stretch of coastline near the border of Oaxaca and Guerrero states. The U.S. Hurricane Center says the system is expected to quickly weaken and should dissipate late tonight or early tomorrow. Some guests join us next from the Chico Theater Company's newest production. We'll be right back.